Muhammad Atique sir as the resource person of this session. Sir does not need for any introduction. Sir is a distinguished academic and researcher in the field of computer science and engineering. He currently serves as the director UGC MMTTC SGB Amravati University, Amravati, and a professor in the postgraduate department of computer science and engineering at SGB Amravati University, Amravati. With over 26 years of teaching experience and more than 8 years of post-PhD research experience, Dr. Atique has made significant contributions to areas such as real-time operating systems, soft computing, machine intelligence, and digital signal processing. Sir holds a PhD in computer science and engineering from SGBA University and has earned his BE and ME degrees from the same institution. Additionally, he has an MBA in Human Resource Development from OIC MOU Nashik. Dr. Atique has supervised numerous research projects at undergraduate, postgraduate, and doctoral levels, guiding scholars in innovative research. He has published extensively in international and national journals and conferences, authored books, and contributed to book chapters. His research work has also led to the publication of multiple patents in the fields of medical image retrieval and wireless sensor technology. A recipient of the UGC travel grant, he has represented India at an international conference in Crete, Iceland, with a strong background in both academia and industry, including experience at L&T IT Mumbai. Dr. Atique continues to advance the frontiers of research and education in computer science. With this brief introduction for Sir, with due respect, I request Sir to share with us his expertise and long experience in this field to us, Sir. Sir, please.
Thank you very much, Mustafa Jamal sir, for such a wonderful introduction. Okay, I am an ordinary teacher. I think that is more than enough. But as you have rightly pointed out, right, I will share some of my experiences, right, particularly with regard to research and development. So let me put on record my, first of all, thanks to the organizer, Director UGC MMTC AMU, for giving an opportunity to interact with such an august gathering. Okay, so the topic which has been assigned to me is, as a matter of fact, research and development. So if you look at the changing role of a teacher, that is, your job is not merely to teach, but there are, I should say, there are far more expectations from you, from the government and other agencies, right? So the role of teacher, as a matter of fact, that is, even it is expected that you must carry out some research. Okay, so research and development is an integral part of teaching. Okay, and if you look at the API, that is Academic Performance Indicator API format, you will find, and if you look at the any funding agencies, you can say the RFP proposal, you will find that they give due importance to the research and development. So today we will be having a look at from NEP perspective, that is how to look at research and development in particular, right? So I hope I am loud and clear. any one of you, just you have to confirm whether you can hear me properly or not, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think I feel that there are people from all over the country, okay, because the surname itself indicate that you belong to a place. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know. This time I think the madam has not shared me the list of participants. Otherwise. But still, I would love to hear from you. What is your background in general? Some of you are from science or technology, or maybe it is a mixed crowd. Any one of you, or you are from diverse field? Okay, so accordingly, I will mold my presentation. Doesn't matter. Okay, so you just confirm. I'll share my slides with you, and we will have some, I should say, interaction. Okay, wherein I will share my, you can say, the experiences with you, right?
Mixed, sir. Mixed crowd.
Sorry,
Mixed.
mixed line.
Uh,
Mix.
yes.
Some of you are from science, and then maybe from arts, humanities, and other fields as well, right?
Yes.
So anyway, we will have a very generic sort of discussion. Okay, so your discipline, I don't think that it will play any role as far as whatever discussion we are going to, because my idea is this is R&D is one of the, you can say, uh, there are 8 thematic areas. So research and development is one of them. So we'll just try to look at R&D from NEP's perspective. So what are the expectation of, you can say, the regulating authority like UGC, AICT, and so on, okay, from a teacher? That is what we will just try to have a look at. Okay. So I am sharing my screen. I hope my slides are visible to you. Whether you can see my slides?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Visible.
Thanks. Yeah,
Yes,
thanks for
sir.
the confirmation. Thanks for the confirmation. And this is what is there on the agenda. That is, we will just try to have a look at what is academic integrity, particularly in research and publication ethics, from NEP 2020 perspective. Right. So this NEP 2020, it has been rolled back way back in 2020. Now almost 4.5 years are over. Right. And the objective of this sort of program is simply to sensitize you, okay, when it comes to various aspects of NEP. So R&D is one of the, you can say, important component of NEP 2020. Okay, this is what is there on the agenda. That is, we will just try to have a look at what is the changing role of a teacher. Okay, so as I said, that is, the expectations are more. We'll just try to see what are the various expectations of, you can say, the various nodal agencies from a teacher. Okay, and then we'll move ahead with the area which I have jotted down for you. That is overview of academic integrity, right? Then what is the need of academic integrity? What are the various, you can say, the compromises we make while going for publication and so on, duplicate publication, authorship and order. Okay, and then we will gradually move ahead with certain other aspects like scientific misconduct. Okay, what we call it as fraud or plagiarism. Okay, and at the end we'll just have a look at what they call it as conflict of interest, or in short, it is also known as COI. Okay, COI nowadays, it is one of the burning issues when it comes to research. Okay, and we will conclude our session with having a look at, you can say, various NGOs working in this domain. Okay, some of the NGOs, or rather the organizations, they are working for the, you can say, the upliftment of research and development. So we'll have a look at COPE, WAME, ICMJE, and IEEE Code of Ethics. Right. So this is what is there on the agenda. Okay, and as I was telling you, that is, what do you feel? What is the changing role of a teacher? What is expected from a teacher apart from teaching? I would love to interact with you. Okay, so if you can come up, you can unmute yourself and come up with your own views. Okay, I'll be happy to listen, and then we will move further. So what do you feel? What is the changing role of a teacher? What are the expectations? See, undoubtedly, that is, you can say, the foremost expectation from a teacher is to teach. Okay, but beyond that, what else is expected from a teacher? Any one of you? Sorry, is it possible for you to unmute yourself? I feel that it should not be a monologue. right? If it is a dialogue, then definitely you will also enjoy the session, and I will also love to hear your, rather I will learn from you many times, right? So what do you feel, any one of you? Okay, you can use, say, I can understand Hindi or other language as well, right? So if you are not comfortable in English, no issue, right? So what is the changing role of a teacher? What do you feel? Okay.
सब टीचर का रोल है बच्चे को
जी
सही गाइडेंस देना,
जी
चाहे वो अपनी जिंदगी में सफल कैसा बने, है ना,
जी जी
सक्सेस
जी।
की तरफ जाए, अच्छा
अच्छा,
इंसान बनाना बेसिकली।
अच्छा इंसान बनाना, बहुत बहुत सही कहा सर आपने। इसके अलावा और क्या एक्सपेक्टेशन है आप टीचर से?
जो सर सब अपने पहले जो सर बोला है कि टीचर शुड कंट्रीब्यूट इन रिसर्च
यस,
ऑल्सो,
है ना, रिसर्च ऑल्सो। एनीथिंग एल्स? एनीथिंग एल्स? Okay, so there are
Just
many.
to,
Yes,
sir,
ma'am.
just to give them a skill enhancement training.
Skill enhancement training. That is again part and parcel of teaching, madam. Right?
Yes, sir.
So that
Yes,
is
sir.
how you incorporate, you can say, the skill component in your teaching learning process. That is definitely one of the important aspect. Okay, that is again one of the, you can say, thematic area of, you can say, NEP 2020.
Yes.
Yes, it is very much there. Apart from that, okay, I'll move to the slide so that it will make your ideas little bit clear. Okay, so teaching is undoubtedly, that is, teacher's role is to teach. Okay, so teaching is the utmost expectation from a teacher. Apart from that, as sir has pointed out, that is research and development. Okay, now if you are working with a premier institute like, say, maybe NIT or triple IT or IIT, okay, their expectations are little bit more. That is, it is not only teaching or R&D, but they expect from you that you must generate some revenue for them. Okay, so consultancy is the another aspect, right? So it is typically used for what they call it as the IRG, internal revenue generation, right, for institutional sustainability. Okay, so if you look at the budget of IITs or ISCs, okay, or maybe some central universities for that purpose, okay, you will find that they are, most of the time, their departments are self-sustainable, right? So they generate a lot of money through consultancy. Okay, I am not saying that is for a small institute, these expectations are there, but if you grow, right, definitely the expectations are more. But if you look at, you can say, the first, apart from teaching, okay, R&D is expected even if you are working with a, you can say, a moderate sort of institution, right, or a college, senior college, or so on. So teaching and research, these two things are the bare minimum expectation of, you can say, from a teacher. Okay, but consultancy is the another aspect, okay, which may be applicable to when you are working with some premier institutions like, say, IIT, and they get facilities for that again. Okay, most of the time, whatever revenue of particular faculty generates, 50% of the, you can say, the revenue, it goes to the faculty involved in that consultancy, right? And the rest of the 50% revenue is for the college, okay, which college or the university or the institution can use it for their own development, okay, and so on. So so your role is changing. What I mean to say is your role is changing, okay, from a teacher to a, I should say, a consultant, right? So in this path, okay, as I have told you, that is the second important aspect is research and development. So teaching and then research and development, it is very much there, okay, irrespective of whether you are working with, you can say, a university or a college, right? So whenever we conduct research, okay, we are supposed to write. Okay, we are supposed to write. Okay, definitely you will write. If you are from a science background, you will write an article, okay, which you will try to publish in some reputed journal and so on, right? So why do we write? That is, we need to understand, right? So we many times write. There are numerous, you can say, the reasons why we are supposed to write. Okay, some of the reasons I have listed out here. For conveying the information, many times we write for expressing our thoughts. Okay, let's say you are undergoing this particular course and your coordinator assign you some assignment. Okay, in that case, again, you have to write. Okay, when you want to publish your work, one has to write. Okay, if you want to fetch grants from some funding agency like say UGC, DST, and so on, again it is expected that you must write a research proposal, right? Those who are from, you can say, the art or other background, okay, they write for becoming famous in their domain. Okay, many times we write for organizing our thoughts, okay, for remembering our thoughts. Okay, and let's say if you are a historian, okay, you maintaining the historical record, again it is expected that you should write. But I am from technical background, okay, I very well know that I am not aware about the universities in which you are working, but have you undergone any kind of course wherein you are taught that is how to write? The answer is a big no, right? But the expectations are still that is how to write a research paper, let's say more specifically. And then what happens, we commit mistake while writing, right? We commit mistakes, right? We make certain compromises and so on. So that is what we are going to look at. Okay, but before I proceed, I would love to hear from you, what is your perception about integrity, right? Forget about academic integrity. What do you understand by the term, let's say, the integrity? Any one of you? Okay, that is the, you can say, the title of our today's deliberation, academic integrity. So what is integrity in general? Right. Yes, any one of you? What is integrity? It is nothing but the, yes, क्या बोलेंगे आप हिंदी में या yes.
Sir, integrity means being honest.
Yes, great.
to our job.
Yes. So it is the quality of being honest, right? It is not on, to put it in simple words, it is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles that you refuse to change, right? So we are grown up with certain, you can say, the moral principles, okay, so which we do not want to change, right? And if you look at your confidential reports, again, you will find that this column has been given due importance. Okay, your integrity and character. Okay, they goes hand in hand, right? So it is nothing but the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles that you refuse to change, right? So having said that, let's say if you are performing some academic activity and if you are not honest, meaning thereby you are committing some mistake, right? So integrity is nothing but the honesty, right? So before moving ahead, let us try to understand what is the need of academic integrity, why this particular issue has cropped up in the recent past, okay, and why it has been given so much of importance, right? So what is the need of academic integrity? So what I have done here is I've listed out some 5, you can say, the famous plagiarism cases in the history, right? Now, if you simply go through this slide, okay, you will very well understand that the issue is not that easy. It is a serious issue, right? So, if you look at the very first case, wherein a speech made by Melania Trump versus Michelle Obama, okay, wherein Melania Trump has been accused for plagiarism for a speech he made at the Republican National Convention in 2016. So it has led to, see, again, let me be very clear on this aspect. That is, my intention is not to see that whether she was really accused or what has happened later on. Okay, so she was guilty or not. Right? That is not none of our business. The idea is why this particular issue has gained so much importance, right? If you look at the second case, which is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling, okay, versus Adrian Jacobs. Okay, again, the plagiarism case. Okay, he has also been accused of plagiarism. Harry Potter series, right? So, which is very popular series. Now, the Lord of Rings series by J.R.R. Tolkien versus Richard Wrangler, right? Which is again is not the only author of a successful and popular book series to have been accused of plagiarism. Now, what is the source? The source I have listed out here. that is, I have gathered this information that is powered by orange.com. Right. I'll come to this point why this is important to cite. Right. If you cite the source, then you will be safe. What I intend to say. Right. So apart from these three cases, there are two more. That is the game pong created by Atari versus Magnavox. Okay, and Del Vinci code written by Dan Brown. Okay, in all these cases, this is all about you can say the international scenarios, and they led to you can say the very serious controversies, right? So we'll not indulge into all those controversies, because our idea is to simply understand why do we need academic integrity, right? What is the need of academic integrity? Now, on the similar line, if you just try to explore at the national level, again, I have listed out some 5 famous plagiarism cases in our country. Again, with due respect, okay, and our intention is not to hurt anybody's feeling, okay. Whether again they were accused or not, what has happened later on, that is none of our business. But this is the source is once again the copyleaks.com. So 5 plagiarized article on the Indian Foundation website, wherein the big names like M.J. Akbar, Nirmala Sitharaman, Swapna Das Gupta and others, okay, they were accused, and later on what has happened that I don't know, but you must have heard about these controversies. That is, chemistry professor accused of plagiarizing more than 70 articles. Okay, Sri Venkateswara University, right? Kavya Vishwanathan was accused of plagiarism for her debut novel. Okay, and the fourth one is Stanford University wrote to late President APJ Abdul Kalam about Professor Rajput's plagiarism, which was very, I will not say it was unproportionally blown up case those days. Then plagiarism accusation again, Dr. Runathan and his group. So what I intend to say is what has happened during 2007 to 11 in our country, we have reported the highest plagiarism rate, right? And which has led to the need of taking up this particular issue very seriously by various regulating authority like UGC, AICT and so on, right? And that's why we need to take up this particular aspect very seriously, academic integrity very seriously, right? Now, before we move ahead with, you can say, the integrity and so on, okay, let us try to understand what are ethics, because the second important aspect is publication ethics, right? So we'll just try to digest this concepts ethics with the help of an example. Okay, let us assume that you are on a morning walk or maybe an evening walk, okay, and you found some money lying on the street. Okay, so what do you do if you found some money lying on the street? There are 4 options which I am giving it to you. A is leave it as it is. B is pick it up and spend it. C is pick it up and give it to charity. And D is do something else. Now, I want your responses in this case, whether you will go ahead with A, B, C or D. Right? So you are, I hope you have understood the situation. Okay. And the intention once again is to simply understand how your ethical behavior is determined. So what are the, you can say, the various aspects which are involved. Okay. So any one of you, whether what do you feel? Whether you will go ahead with A, B, or C, or D? What are your responses here? Any one of you? There are 2 possibilities. Hello, are you with me first of all? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. What you will do? Whether you will go with A, B, C, or D? Option A is leave it as it is. Okay. B is pick it up and spend it. C is pick it up and give it to charity. And D is do something else. It's so confusing. Hello. So difficult to answer.
No, sir. C.
C. Okay, great. May I know your name, ma'am?
Dr. Kiran Karnataka.
Yes.
Department of Psychology, MBPG College, Haldwani, Nainital, Uttarakhand.
Okay, okay. So you are from psychology, right? So great. Okay. Well, as madam has said that she will go ahead with to pick it up and give it to charity. Okay. Any other answer apart from C? Nobody is saying D, that is something else, or
Sir,
nobody.
another answer is A.
Another answer is A. Leave it as it is. Okay.
हाँ जी.
चलिए, आपने भी मैडम एक अच्छा ऑप्शन सिलेक्ट किया है. चलिए, और any other thing? Nobody is saying B, pick it up and spend it, right? So either you will go for A or C. Okay. Even D is there is nothing wrong as far as D is concerned. You may have possibilities like you will pick it up that note, okay, and money, whatever is the amount of money. Okay, I'll make the things more complex. Okay, we will just try to analyze it in a greater detail. So you can again go ahead with something else wherein you can deposit that money in the nearest police station. Okay, so that the real owner of that money can collect it from them. Right. So that something else is again possible. Okay. Now I'll make it a little bit more complex. Nobody has asked me, sir, what is the amount of money, right? But let's say if the amount of money is a 200 rupees note, or let's say if the amount of money is 1 crore, that is 500 rupees note. Okay, bag full of 500 rupees note consisting of rupees 1 CR. Indian rupees 1 CR. So if it is, let's say 200 rupees note or 500 rupees note, or if it is, let's say 1 crore, what you will do, still you will go ahead with C, or you will go ahead with A, madam? Or now you will change your, yes?
Sir, I will choose again A.
Again A. Okay, leave it as it is, irrespective of the amount, right?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, 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 sir.
जी, अब और थोड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स करते हैं. Let us try to make it a little bit again more complex. Let's assume that I'm saying it is based on the assumption that you are hungry since last 3 days, okay, and it is evening time, okay, and you found that 200 rupees note. Okay, you are hungry since last 3 days, okay. ठीक है, ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए किसी के साथ में, लेकिन अगर suppose if you are hungry and if you found that 200 rupees note and there are restaurant nearby, okay, so what you will do in that case?
Sir, I will take 200 rupees.
Ji. And go to the nearest restaurant,
Yes.
and have your lunch or dinner or maybe breakfast, depending on the
Yes,
time.
yes, sir. Yes,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So again, there is nothing wrong as far as whatever you said, because if you are hungry, you will forget about the ethics and moral and other aspects, right? Because your hunger is the biggest problem at that point of time, right? And let us suppose you picked it up and you were having your, you can say the dinner or lunch, depending upon the time. What has happened? The real owner of that money, okay, he again visit the site and somebody's told him that money this person has picked up and he is having the lunch or dinner. Now what you will do, whether you will scold that person or you will feel it's okay, and then he is narrating the story, madam, I have not taken a single bite, okay, since last 3-4 days. So what I intend to say is we will accept it. As madam has said, nothing will come to her mind. Okay, she will simply pick it up and approach the nearest restaurant and have the lunch or dinner or breakfast, depending upon the time, right? So what I intend to clarify here is your ethical behavior basically depends on many factors. And what are those factors? The very first factor is the individual involved, right? Now, most of us, when I have tossed the very simplest question, okay, when some money is lying, okay, most of you came up with the answer that you will pick it up and give it to charity. So how you are grown up, what kind of, you can say the values you are grown up with. So that individual involved, Okay, the circumstances. Let's say if you are hungry, okay, so the circumstances has changed here in this case. So your ethical behavior will change, okay, and you were having some different answers. Moral intensity with the situation, okay, moral intensity with the situation, right? So that again makes you to now I'm tossing a new term. What is moral? Okay, ethics. I have told you. I hope, right? So your ethical behavior, it is not you can say it is not determined on only one aspect. It is determined on various parameters. What are those parameters? The very first parameter is the individual involved. What are the circumstances? What is the moral intensity with the situation, and so on and so forth, right? So if you want to understand this theory in a little bit greater detail, okay, we need to understand there are basically two theories, okay, what they call it as the theory of absolutism and the theory of relativism, right? So we will just try to have a cursory look at these two aspects, okay, so that you can digest this concept quite easily. So absolutism, one set of moral rules and rules common to all. So irrespective of whether you are an ordinary citizen or you are a king, okay, you have to follow those rules, right? Rules unlikely to change, okay. And this is what they call it as a dogmatic sort of thing. So what is dogmatism? I'll put it in, let's say if you want to come up the Hindi equivalent of dogmatism, it is kattarvad, right? Ekdam such, you feel that it is you are always right and the other person is always wrong, right? If you are a dogmatic person, okay, you will behave in that respect, right? Absolute truth exists, right? Wherein absolutism theory talks about wherein you have absolute truth which exists, right? On the right hand side, normally we all those who are from, you can say, the science, engineering and other you can say backgrounds, okay, we adopt a relativism theory. Many acceptable set of rules. One set of rule is not there. There are many acceptable set of rules. Rules can change over time. So what has happened? In 2018, UGC realized that this is a burning issue, academic integrity, plagiarism and all, right? So they have come up with some notification, and later on they realized, this is this again, then they mandated, that is so UGC care list is there. Now what has happened in 2025, they are scrapping that UGC care list because they realized, even though they have tried to get hold of the problem, but the other issues cropped up. Now there is no mandatory requirement if you want to submit your PhD thesis. Earlier there were some mandatory requirement, that is you have to have one journal paper, maybe 2 international conference papers and so on. Now after realization that again there is no quality, now patents were there and so on. So this relativism theory, we talk about pragmatism, pragmatic, right? So pragmatic is nothing but the practical aspect, right? And there is no absolute truth, right? There is no absolute truth, right? So having said this, that is if you look at the, you can say the important aspect of morality, as a matter of fact, it has been derived from a Latin word, means MOS, okay. So what is the right or duties and obligation? That is utmost important here, right? So if you want to have, if you want to be called yourself as a pragmatic person, rather most of us, we want to call ourselves as a pragmatic person. So it morals remains intact, okay, they will never change. Whereas your ethical behavior, as I have told you, it can change, okay, it changes with time. Okay, so ethics demand, as a matter of fact, it is derived from a Greek word called ethos, which means character. Okay, which means character. So if you look at these two theories, you can very well understand that there is no fun with arguing a dogmatic person, right? Because he will always say, let's say it is a sunny day outside, and if somebody is saying it is night and he is trying to convince you that it is night only, so what you will do, you will say, it's okay, sir, no problem. It is, you are absolutely right. So there's no fun in arguing with a dogmatic person. So being certain that you are always right, Okay, and where this absolutism theory is applied, it is applied, let's say, for example, when it comes to your religion. Okay, there we never ever question whether it is right or wrong, right? You accept it. This is your belief, right? This is your belief. So religious belief, okay, and those sort of thing that comes under absolutism. But let's say all other aspects, okay, you may call it as a theory of relativism, right? So having said this, it is better to be a pragmatic rather than you can say the dogmatic sort of a person. So ethics, in other word, again, you can come up with what they call it as you have a formal or set of standard and principles, okay, which the regulating authorities like say UGC and they decide. Now, how do they decide? They learn through, you can say, the deliberation and consensus. I think you must be aware right now UGC has come up with wherein they are trying to modify the recruitment rule for all the teaching faculty along with the appointment of the vice chancellor, right? So they have come up with a draft document which they have shared with the, you can say, the entire academic fraternity, and they are asking for them to give their own suggestions. And then what happens? So it is the philosophy is to go for consensus and deliberations, right? So that is the philosophy which is being adopted in terms of ethics, okay? And you may call it as a customized morality as well, okay? So, and usually it is for system, it is not for individual. On the other hand, if you look at moral, okay, it is your own subject. It is a subjective thing, right? So you may feel that this is right for you and this is wrong for you, right? I may have my own moral principles. So it is for individual, okay? And in morality, the sentiments are involved, as a matter of fact. And it is a personal compass, right? So these are, having said all this, I hope you can say the difference between what are the ethics and the moralities is clear to you. Okay, now we will move ahead with having said this, we'll just try to understand why do ethical issues arise in publication. Say if you want to get your article published in a journal, so why do we compromise? What are the reasons for it? There has to be some reason, right? Otherwise, I very well remember when I joined teaching profession way back in 1990. At that time, BTech in computer science or in any other discipline was the essential qualification for becoming a teacher. That is lecturer those days. Assistant professor designation was not there. So that was only requirement. Then what has happened gradually, if as on date, let's say if you want to be a professor, you have to have what? You have to have not only bachelor's, master's and PhD degree along with maybe some 5 or 10 SCI index publication. Now, this compulsion is now rather this sort of, you can say the requirements are forcing you to compromise, you can say certain ethical issues when it comes to publication. So it is, since it is linked with your bread and butter, it enhances the seniority and promotion, right? And if you look at the, you can say the commercial aspects of it, there are some publishing houses, so it is publishers' profit, companies' profit, and that's why we go for certain, you can say the compromises when it comes to publication. Ethical issues, we make certain compromises, right? So having said this, as I have told you, that is, we need to understand why academic integrity is important. So if you want to understand this in a greater detail, okay, UGC has come up, as I told you, that is earlier, that is, there were issues with regard to academic integrity, and that's why they have come up with a beautiful document. It is a 2018 notification issued by UGC, wherein they have categorically defined what academic integrity is all about. So it is the intellectual honesty. Now, we are just trying to have a look at this in a greater detail. What is it? It is the intellectual honesty in proposing, performing, and reporting any activity which leads to the creation of intellectual property. Now, under intellectual property, you may have a number of things like, say, your research article, maybe patent, copyright, and whatnot, right? So, and it is not merely publishing, it is proposing, performing, and reporting. Okay, say if you are carrying out some experimentation and you are getting some X result, but when it comes to publication, you are reporting Y result. So you are making compromises when it comes to reporting, right? So, or let's say if you are calibrating the equipments in such a way so as to get the desired result, you are committing mistake in terms of performing the experimentation, right? Or you are proposing somebody else's idea, you are again indulge in what they call it as the plagiarism and so on, right? Plagiarism of idea and so on. So why do we compromise integrity? Again, the reasons are very similar to what we have seen. Either you publish or perish. Okay, if you don't have publication, you will not be promoted. It is linked with promotion, selection, appointments. If you want to become famous, or in some countries, there are monetary rewards attached to publication, like China. Okay, so if you go for a, you can say SCI index publication, the Chinese government, they may fund you, right? Some money, okay, for having, that's why you find a lot of Chinese over there, right? So that is again there, sort of incentive, right? Sort of incentive. Okay, in our country, we do not have that kind of facility, but in certain countries, it is there. So monetary rewards are again there. Okay. Now, how do we make compromises when it comes to publication? See, the very common aspect is going for a duplicate publication. That is republishing the same finding again and again, submitting the same manuscript to 2 or more journals at once. So what happens? We have got certain mandatory requirement that you have to have 2 journal article in a year, academic year. Okay, now you have only one single idea. What you will do? You will try to publish it by making some little bit small alteration simultaneously to the 2 journals. So if you do so, you are committing this duplicate publication. Dividing one research paper into many papers, that is what they call it as the salami slicing, right? So the idea remains same, but in one paper you are talking about literature review, second paper you are talking about the block schematic you have adopted, and the third paper you are talking about the results you have obtained, right? So that is again, but again the idea remains same, right? So dividing one research paper, this is again considered as a duplicate publication, right? Which is again dangerous, right? Now, what is authorship? Okay, so again, who you will call as an author? That is again very important aspect one has to understand. Again, author has been defined categorically by UGC, okay, and they have come up with a, you can say, the very crystal clear definition of an author. If you want to be an author, you must have substantial contribution to the conception and design of a paper, or acquisition of data, or analysis and you can say interpretation of data. But if you are not contributing in any of these aspects, you cannot claim to be an author of a particular paper, right? So many times what happens is, that is, let's say if you are enjoying a position in an organization, many times your name is kept as an author. But as a matter of fact, you are not contributing in any of the aspect of the paper creation and the, you can say, the submission, or maybe drafting the article and so on, right? So in that case, UGC says that you should not do this sort of thing, right? So who is the author? Who is substantially contributing to the conception or design of a paper, right? Or acquisition of data, maybe data acquisition, or analysis and interpretation of the data. But if you are not contributing in any of these areas, you cannot claim to be an author, right? That is authorship. And then the second important aspect is the authorship order. What I mean to say with regard to authorship order is, normally, let's say if there are 6 authors, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, once you declare it, okay, you need to abide by to that particular order, okay. It should be declared in the beginning itself. And let's say if when it comes to getting the credit for that, all of them, they will get the equal credit. But let's say if you have been caught by committing some mistake, or making certain compromises, or plagiarizing the contents, okay, so all of them, they will get the equal punishment, right? So all authors take responsibility for the content in the manuscripts. That's why when your students submit paper, okay, most of the publishing house, they fire an email to your email ID, wherein they ask you, okay, that Mr. and Miss so and so has submitted this article entitled so, and you are as a matter of fact, you are the co-author of this particular. So if you do not agree, please let us know, so that we will drop your name. But let's say if you keep mum, okay, meaning thereby you are accepting that you are the co-author. So if something goes wrong, you will be held responsible. right? So disclose if any third party is involved in the writing. Okay, so for professional writers or consulting firm, many times, see, English is a foreign language for us. So what do we do for making, let's say, writing articles? You may seek help from some consulting firm. Okay, but if you are doing so, you must acknowledge it clearly in the beginning itself. It's say for paper typesetting, or maybe for grammar, or maybe for whatever is the purpose, right? So if you have taken some consultancy, okay, you have to disclose it in the beginning, right? So authorship order is again very important. Then under scientific misconduct, we have got two different aspects, what they call it as fabrication and falsification. Fabrication means making up the data or result and reporting them. What I used to call many times is cooking up the data, right? So you cook up the data or result and report them. So that is fabrication, which is again dangerous. And falsification is there, wherein manipulating research material, maybe equipment or processes, or changing or omitting data or results with the intent to change the outcome. So what is the focal point here is you want to change the outcome, and for that purpose, what you are doing, you are recalibrating the equipment, maybe material or the processes, okay, so as to get the desired results. So that falsification is again very, you can say it plays a crucial role. Okay, so that is again dangerous. We should avoid it. Apart from this, the third aspect of, you can say, the scientific misconduct is plagiarism, right? Now, what is plagiarism? Okay, we will just try to have a look at this in maybe a minute or so. So when somebody presents work of another person's ideas, processes, results, or words as if they were his or her own without proper acknowledgement. Okay, so it is not merely copying and pasting some content from some article, okay, and claiming it to be your own. Okay, it is more than that. So if you look at the definition itself, you will find that there are, based on this, there are 4 distinct type of plagiarism, right? And what are they? The very first one is the ideas, right? Very first one is the ideas. That is, plagiarism of ideas occur when one fails to acknowledge the origin of a thought, idea, or invention and claim the idea as one's own. So I am taking up the idea from some other article and I am claiming it to be my own idea. So that is plagiarism of ideas. Sources, meaning thereby plagiarism of sources occurs when one does not attribute the correct source for a piece of writing or an argument. Okay, that is another aspect. Authorship, right? It occurs when one claims authorship of an entire work without actually fulfilling the criteria for authorship. And what is the criteria for authorship? That I have already told you, that is substantial contribution in some or the other way. If it is not so, okay, again, it will be considered as authorship plagiarism, right? And with the most common one, what they call it as the words plagiarism, verbatim or word of word plagiarism, occurs when one copies or uses portion of text written by another without clearly demonstrating appropriate quotation and citation standards. So let's say if you want to copy a definition and you feel that it is the only way of explaining that particular thing, it is only the best way of explaining that particular concept, what you can do, you can put those things in double quotation marks so that it will be excluded from the plagiarism, right? So I hope these 4 types of plagiarism are again, they are very serious. Apart from this, what has happened in 20
Sorry
years,
to interrupt you, sir.
yes,
Your
yes.
slides are not visible.
Is it? Acha.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but what I thought, I have confirmed it in the beginning. Now you are telling me almost, I think.
Sir, I didn't want to interrupt you, sir, but unfortunately, I couldn't
Oh,
able to
no,
see the
but
slides. So
you should have told me in the beginning.
I don't know
Okay,
about others. I thought it's from my side only.
Is
But
it?
I see people are just like they
Oh.
are rejoining and all.
Oh, I don't know what has happened. Okay, but I think I'm sharing my slides. I don't know what has happened. Okay, entire screen. Yes, ma'am. Is it visible now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
It's visible now.
Yes, sir.
Oh, but almost 45 minutes are over now. You're telling me anyway. Anyway, now I hope it is visible too. But I have got the confirmation when I started my session. Anyway, now whether you can see this self-plagiarism is there. So you were only looking at the videos up till now.
Yes.
Anyway, right. So this is self-plagiarism, right? This is again, this particular aspect is a little bit, I should say, debatable. Okay, some of the people feel that it should not be considered as a plagiarism, but UGC in 2020 they have come up, I think 20th of April 2020, they have come up with a, you can say, notification wherein they have categorized it as a plagiarism. Right. So what is self-plagiarism? It is republishing the same paper already published elsewhere without due and full citation. Right. So that is one thing. That is publishing smaller scripted paper from a longer and previously without due and full citation. That is again the another aspect. Or reusing data already used in a published work. Okay. Or communicated for publication in another work without due and full citation. So if you want to come out of plagiarism, okay, the only way out is if you cite it, okay, in the references, due and full citation is there, okay, you can very well come out of this plagiarism, right? Otherwise, even if it is your own content, and again you are writing the paper using that stuff, okay, maybe second paper you are coming up, so it will be considered as a plagiarized, self-plagiarized content, right? Self-plagiarism, right? So there are again, you can say two more categories under self-plagiarism. One is the breaking up a longer, larger study into smaller sections and publishing them as altogether new work without due and full citation. Okay. And the next one is the paraphrasing one's own previously published work without due and full citation of the original. So I am hiding my earlier publication. I am coming up with a new publication wherein I am not citing, okay, I am not giving due and full citation to my original article, and I am claiming that I am having a new publication, okay. So that is again considered as a self-plagiarism, right? Again, there are two more categories, what they call it as the unintentional and intentional plagiarism, wherein if you go for, say, paraphrasing poorly, right, changing the sentence structure but not the words, or changing few words without changing the structure, that is basically considered as unintentional plagiarism. In this case, the you can say the penalties are a little bit less. Let's say the another sort is quoting poorly, wherein putting quotation marks around a passage that is partly paraphrased and partly quoted. Okay, so that is considered as unintentional plagiarism. So it may happen by mistake. Let's say if you put the quotation mark somewhere else, okay, not at the proper place, then it will be considered as quoting poorly, unintentional plagiarism. Citing poorly, that is omitting an occasional citation or citing inaccurately. Okay, so in citation, if you are not citing it properly, you are citing poorly, it will be considered as unintentional plagiarism, right? Intentional plagiarism, this is a little bit dangerous, okay, wherein if you are passing off as one's own pre-written papers from the internet or other sources, okay, you are simply downloading it, claiming it as if it is your own, okay, it happens, okay, I'll not share, but I work in RRC of the university, right, wherein we get these sort of cases, not very, I should say, frequently, but some of the cases we found that the people carry out all those activities. So copying an essay from the internet, online sources or electronic database without quoting or giving credit, cutting and pasting from more than one sources. So what I'll do, I'll download 2-3 papers, cut, paste, and make a third paper. Okay, so that is intentional plagiarism. If you are caught committing this type of mistake, okay, you will be held responsible for it, and there are penalties for it. Okay, so what are the penalties? We will have a look at those things later on. But before that, we need to understand what is excluded from plagiarism, right? So all quoted marks, if you write in double quotation marks, maybe it is 5 line, 10 line, 1 line, or one complete paragraph, it will not be considered if you put it in double quotes. All references, that's why many times when you go for plag check, okay, they will ask you to remove references, bibliography, table of content, preface, and acknowledgements, right? All generic terms and laws, okay, which are, you can say, proven laws, okay, standard symbols, maybe say phi, theta, zeta, and so on, and standard equation, again, they are excluded. common language or coincidental terms, but there is a limit up to 14 consecutive words. This is not what I am saying. Okay, this is once again, the source is very much there on the bottom of the slide. Okay, so common language means established fact, maybe quote, figure, or information that is known to most of the people. Okay, that will not be considered as a plagiarism, right? Now, what are the penalties? Let's say if you are caught, okay, committing some mistake, making certain compromises. Okay, we need to again refer to this 2018 notification of UGC, wherein they have come up with various penalties, okay, in submission of thesis and dissertation. So level 0, similarity up to 10%, that is, if your similarity index is up to 10%, it is acceptable, no penalty. But if it is between 10 to 40%, such student, I am talking from the student's perspective, such a student shall be asked to submit a revised script within a stipulated time period not exceeding 6 months. Level 2, 40 to 60, such a student shall be debarred from submitting a revised script for a period of 1 year. Level 3 is highly dangerous. Such student registration for that program shall be cancelled. Right. So while publishing or writing, you see, even if your students are writing papers, so you should be very serious about this aspect, right? And when it comes to teachers, what are the penalties? Penalties are up to 10%, no penalty, but 10 to 40% shall be asked to withdraw the script. Level 2, that is 40 to 60. Now here it is really harsh, right? Shall be asked to withdraw the script, shall be denied right to 1 annual increment. You are writing article for getting promoted. Okay, now your increments are held up. Okay, shall not be allowed to be a supervisor for any new master's, MPhil, PhD student for a period of 2 years. Right. So that's why you have to take this particular issue very seriously. And if it is more than 60%, what are the penalties? Shall be asked to withdraw the script, shall be denied right to 2 annual increment, and shall not be allowed to be a supervisor, right? For how much? For 3 years. So the penalties are really harsh. Okay, that's why we need to take up this particular thing very seriously. Now, as I have told you, that is, we will have a look at, this is probably the last but one topic, okay, wherein we will just try to understand what is conflict of interest. Okay, so before I proceed, I would once again love to hear from you. Okay, what is your perception about COI? Have you heard COI in general? Any one of you? Conflict of interest? Okay, you must have heard about copyright forms, right? Wherein we use, rather we transfer our copyrights to the publisher. Okay, so on the parallel line, there is a form, what they call as the conflict of interest form. It is a declaration form, okay, which is supposed to be, you can say, submitted before submitting the paper. Moment you say, rather simultaneously with the paper, with the manuscript. Okay, so what is it? It exists when there is a divergence between an individual's private interest, competing interest, and his or her responsibility to scientific and publishing activity, such that a reasonable observer might wonder if the individual's behavior or judgment was motivated by consideration of his or her competing interests. Let us assume that I am working as a professor in a university. Okay, at the same time, I am holding an additional responsibility, what they call it as, let's say, a managing editor of a reputed journal, right? Now, I want to get my own paper published, or maybe one of my students' paper published in the same journal. Whether it should be allowed? Okay, even if it is allowed, I need to disclose my conflict of interest, right? So I need to disclose that the person who is submitting the paper, he is working under me, is my student, okay? Or the other way around is, let's say, if it is not like that, let's say one of my, you can say, close relative or my student is working with a publishing house, and I am using my relationship, okay, to get my paper published. So I may influence the review process. I may send it to my close friends and get it done, something like that, so as to avoid that they have got a COI form in place. And what is it? It is basically, there are again various types of conflict of interest. Okay, some of them I have listed out here. So it is a clear statement of example of the types of competing interest and their definition. Okay, it must be declared in the beginning itself. Okay, so it should include the following. For example, if you are having a financial ties, let's say my work is sponsored by some XYZ agency, or if I am getting some monetary benefits from some organizations, right? Academic commitments. Okay, if I am having some academic commitments with the organization, if I am having some personal relationship, as I was talking about, maybe my student or my close relative, or maybe I am having a political or religious belief sort of thing. So all these things, or maybe institutional affiliation. So all these things must be declared in the beginning itself in the COI form, right? So they ask you a number of queries with regard to all these parameters, whatever I have jotted down here, right? And if you, let's say, if you say no, okay, or rather you say not applicable and you fill a blank form, you do not provide any information, and later on, let us suppose, okay, after publication, it is found that you are guilty, okay, you have hidden certain information, okay, in certain aspects. Okay, in that case, what will happen? Again, there are some penalties, and that those penalties will depend, rather it will vary from, you can say, the publishing house, one publishing house to the another, and so on. So disclosure forms are used to deal with COI, and which includes clear statement on what is to be declared. So they will have a questionnaire sort of thing, when and whom, what timing is again important, and to whom, maybe to the, say, the managing editor of the publishing house, or there is a format for declaration, just like a copyright form. A journal's role in asking additional question or seeking clarification about disclosure, and consequences for failing to disclose before or after publication. So if it is before, there is no problem. If it is after, again, there are penalties. So different organizations, they deal with this particular aspect in their own ways and means, right? So WAME is one of them, that is World Association of Medical Editors. And let's say if some of you want to explore this in a greater detail, you can note down the URL. It is wame.org. Okay, but it is specifically for medical journals and editors, right? So how to manage it? Again, they have their own ways and means to manage it. So different organizations, they have got their different mechanism, I should say, for dealing with this conflict of interest, right? Just like UGC has come up with some, you can say, the guidelines or notification wherein, if let's say the level 0, level 1, level 2 plagiarism they have identified, and the penalties. So on the parallel line, these publishing houses, again, they have their own ways and means to handle this conflict of interest, right? Now let us move ahead to the very important aspect. Okay, this is probably the last one, wherein we will just try to examine what are the various, you can say, the NGOs working in this area. Okay, and the very first one is with regard to publication ethics, right? With regard to publication ethics and academic integrity. So COPE is one of the oldest organization which is working on ethics, and it is you can say it is one of the most powerful as well. Okay, and it is Committee on Publication Ethics. So it was established in 1997 in UK with only 3 members. But gradually, what has happened? From 1993, 7 to 2003, it has grown up with 19 members, 6 to 9, 3,000 plus members, and now more than 12,500 plus members, and that too from 103 countries. Okay, so mostly editors of reputed journals, right? And what is their tagline? Their tagline is promoting integrity in scholarly research and its publication, right? So from the tagline itself, you can very well understand their objectives. So you can approach them if you are suffering from some issue with regard to publication. Okay, and they have got 18 flowcharts for handling various issues. Okay, and what is the URL? URL is https://publicationethics.org. Those of you, if you wish to explore this in a greater detail, they can very well go to this website, wherein you will find a lot of stuff on, you can say, the code of conduct for editors. Okay, so editors should be responsible for everything published in their journals. They should strive to meet the needs of reader and authors. Okay, constantly improve the journal, ensure the quality of the material they publish. So they are held responsible for all these activities. If they make certain compromises, again, they will be, you can say, punished as per the prevailing provisions in the code of conduct, right? So maintain the integrity of the academic record, and so on and so forth. So some of the objectives I have, rather their code of conduct I have jotted down here. Okay, then they have got some core practices. Okay, wherein if you go for allegation of misconduct, okay, somebody else has published, rather stolen my idea, and I feel that the idea is mine, and now he has come up with another paper on the same idea, right? So you can approach them, you can go for filing an allegation of misconduct, maybe authorship and contributorship, complaints and appeals. Okay, then it goes through a process. As I have told you, there are 18 flowcharts, okay, which will deal with all those kind of scenarios, okay, and they will settle that particular case. Journal management, post-publication discussion and correction. Again, this is the myth in most of us mind. That is, when you publish, that is the end of the story. But when you publish in a reputed journal, okay, that is the beginning, I should say. Right. So post-publication discussion and correction. So many times you get responses from the, you can say, the people working in that domain. They will ask you a number of questions. Okay. And then maybe some discussion, or you have to come up with certain corrections, right? So many times you need to, it is not the end. What I mean to say is, if you go for publication and your article is published, that doesn't mean that is the end of the story. Rather, it is the beginning of another era, right? So another organization, just like CO, is the World Association of Medical Editors, what they call it as WAME. And it was established in 1995, right? It is a global non-profit voluntary association of editors. WAME.org is the URL. Okay. And once again, they deal with all those sort of things, but specifically with regard to medical, you can say, research. Okay. So ethics and professionalism. What are the principles of transparency and best practices in scholarly publishing? Okay. Publication ethics policies for medical journals. So they have a very exhaustive document, I should say, wherein they talk about everything what is expected. And if you look at the numbers, there are around 1900 members of WAME. Okay, so it is once again very powerful organization. Okay, and they deal with various aspects of publication ethics and so on. That is global health and politics, maybe peer review, right? So how your peer review should be, maybe some of the journals they conduct the blind review, right, wherein the, you can say, the author details and credentials are usually hidden from the reviewer. Okay, and they deal with also the issues arising out of impact factor. Now what is happening is, again, this impact factor is being manipulated, right? We will not go into the details of all those aspects, but these issues are there. So this WAME and all, they deal with all those sort of issues, right? Registration of clinical trials. Okay, when it comes to particularly medical education, for example, in COVID, what has happened? They have not conducted any, you can say, the clinical trials, and directly the but that was an emergency. But apart from that, again, let's say if you want to carry out some medical research, it is expected that you must go for registration of clinical trials, right? So all those aspects they deal with. Okay, that is WAME. Again, authors, conflict of interest, as I was talking about, ghost writing initiated by commercial companies. Okay, that is again happening at a very large scale. Okay, so they have again a number of resources. WAME has got their own resources. Ethics case discussion is there, ethics consultation, web resources are there, even their blogs are there, wherein you can see, you can say, the various discussion going about all these aspects of, you can say, wherein WAME can play a role. Right. Now, the last but one is the ICMJ, that is International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, ICMJ. Even though it is a small organization having only 16 members, okay, but this is once again very powerful. Okay, they have come up with their own URM. Okay, it was published way back in 1978. Okay, that is, URM stands for Uniform Requirements for Submission of Manuscripts and so on. Okay, so what should be this is a generic sort of thing, ICMJ, right? And they come up with certain recommendation, they conduct their meetings, and it was, as a matter of fact, it was established way back in 1978. And since the very first meeting it took place in Vancouver, it is also called as the Vancouver group or Vancouver style. Okay, So they have their own ways of writing papers and so on, wherein they categorically define that is how your abstract should look like and the other aspects of writing a research article. So 1979, they have come up with first URM, which was revised in 1997, complete revision, and 2007 is the latest version. Okay, you can once again go through this ICMJ or ORG for having a glimpse of you can say the URMs and all, right? So it is popularly known as I said, uniform requirement. URM stands for uniform requirement or Vancouver style. Okay, and then what has happened in 2013? They have changed the name of this URM to Recommendation for the Conduct, Reporting, Editing, and Publication of Scholarly Work in Medical Journals. Okay, 14 to 17, they are having, you can say, they were having, you can say, annual revision, wherein they have come up with various aspects of publication and so on with regard to medical journals. Right. Again, they have categorically defined what are the roles and responsibility of a publisher, you can say the authors and the contributors and so on. And conflict of interest, all those issues are very well defined in this ICMG Code of Ethics. Right. So having said this, I think now the topic is open for discussion. If you have any queries, okay, you can fire it now. Oh, I was surprised actually. Some of you have told me in maybe when the half the session was over that sir, the slides were not visible. Okay, now it is open for discussion. Now, if you have any queries with regard to publication ethics or academic integrity, I'll be happy to answer. I hope I am at least loud and clear. You can hear me? Yes or no?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
चलिए जी, तो आप में से कुछ पूछना
सर,
चाहें?
अभी जो जो यूजीसी का नोटिफिकेशन आया है
जी,
उसमें सर मेन मतलब कौन सी चीज इम्पोर्टेंट है पब्लिकेशन में?
कौन सी चीज मतलब नहीं समझा मैं सर।
सर जैसे पहले यूजीसी केयर था तो
हाँ, अभी जो लेटेस्ट चल रहा है सर, अभी उसमें ये है कि उन्होंने यूजीसी केयर को भी स्क्रैप कर दिया है। ठीक है, हाँ, अब ये आप पूछ सकते हैं कि सर ये क्यों हुआ? ये इसलिए हुआ कि जो जर्नल्स थे बेसिकली, तो वो जर्नल्स भी कहीं ना कहीं कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर रहे थे, राइट? सो दे फाउंड इट दैट इट इज नॉट इन द राइट वे, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दे हैव अगेन, पहले जो मैंडेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट थी कि भाई आपको इतने पब्लिकेशन होना थेसिस के लिए, पीएचडी के लिए, तो what I came to know from some reliable sources, that is they are going to remove that requirement once again. Now there will be no compulsion as far as for getting the PhD. Okay, you will not have any mandatory requirement in terms of publication. Your institute may have their own, but as far as UGC is concerned, they are making it, you can say, more open. Okay, or they are moving it in a more liberal kind of environment, wherein there are no requirement as far as the UGC guidelines are concerned. ठीक है, आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी या कॉलेज भला ही लगा सकता है, लेकिन यूजीसी ने स्क्रैप कर दिया है इन चीजों को। क्योंकि क्या हो रहा है सर, बेसिकली जैसे मैंने कहा कि इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर, ओके, अगेन इट इज बीइंग मैनिपुलेटेड, है ना? लेट्स से आई एम एंजॉयिंग ए वेरी हाई पोजीशन, ओके, इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, व्हाट आई विल डू, I will ask all my connection to cite my paper. Okay, so irrespective of whether it is relevant or not, now who will check it out, right? So my citation will increase, the impact factor will get affected. So all these parameters are, as a matter of fact, they are being manipulated, because ultimately there are websites available wherein you can say it is mirror kind of sort of website, है ना? आपको लगता है कि स्कोपस इंडेक्स्ड है, लेकिन आपको बाद में आप जब इसको फेच करके देखते हो आपके प्रोफाइल से, तो you won't find that article linked to your profile. Why it is so? Because the website itself is fake, है ना? That is again happening with a jet speed. तो अपने को लगता है कि भाई ये तो, और आप if you look at the you can say the URL, you will find it is completely similar, है ना? तो अब वेबसाइट से भी आप चेक नहीं कर पाते हैं बहुत सारी चीजों को. So again there are various aspects when it comes to publication. तो आपने अगर क्वालिटी पब्लिकेशन है, आपने कुछ बहुत अच्छा काम किया है, तो you must go for SCI index publication first, Science Citation Index or Web of Science. Then second level is what they call it as the Scopus Index, right, which is the database by elsewhere. Okay. और फिर बाद में नीचे आपका यूजीसी केयर लिस्ट आती है, जो अब शायद स्क्रैप हो जाए. मुझे लगता है कि दे आर अबाउट टू डिसकंटिन्यू दैट यूजीसी केयर लिस्ट. ठीक है. तो थोड़ा सा आपको, अगर आप अच्छा पब्लिकेशन चाहते हैं, आपके क्रेडेंशियल बढ़ाना चाहते हैं, तो यू हैव टू हैव एससीआई और वेब ऑफ साइंस, पब्लॉन, राइट.
Thank you, sir.
जी. Anybody else who wish to ask something? Which is the most trusted tool for AI content detection? Since at time we write anything, okay. So I think you are referring to now. This is a very common question, which is most of the time asked by the participant, right? What is happening? That is, let's say now you can write a research article using ChatGPT as well, right? So as a matter of fact, ethically it is not allowed. You can use ChatGPT, as I have told you, for maybe grammar correction or typesetting or formatting the paper, but not for stealing the ideas, right? So ChatGPT will do for you, but at the same time, what is happening, if you submit an article generated by ChatGPT to any flag tool, it will very well detect it, because they are also having AI functionality, built-in AI functionality, right? So my advice is, that is again, this is a very, you can say, burning issue nowadays, that is how to curtail the use of AI. Okay, and hopefully you must have heard about that our Prime Minister has gone for some AI summit. Okay, so this is a concern for the entire world, okay, not for us. Okay. So the regulatory guidelines in near future, you will find that the UGC or AICT, they will come up with certain guidelines for the use of AI, right? Because this is even, let's say your students, again, they are using it. Okay. है ना, जैसे आप उसे, if you interact with a particular student, you will find that he is not able to speak one or two sentence correctly in English, but when it comes to composing a mail, okay, you will be surprised to see the stuff over there. Because what do? Normally they use the ChatGPT for generating. They write the proper prompt, and ChatGPT will write an email. Okay, it will compose an email. Normally, what do? They copy and paste it. So it is highly dangerous. Okay, it is highly dangerous. But at the same time, what is happening? Your tools, that is the flag tools or any other tool for that purpose, they are also equipped with those functionalities. So you will be definitely, if you use it for some other purposes, I don't think there is no escape for you. Okay, you will be caught some way or the other, right? So my advice is, do not use it for that particular purpose. You may use it for, let's say, if you have some stuff and you want to prepare a PowerPoint presentation. For generating PowerPoint, you can very well use it. Okay, you can use AI tools like, say, Research Rabbit or maybe Connected Papers or Consensus. Okay, we don't have time, otherwise I would have demonstrated those things to you, right? So you may use those sort of tool for maybe analysis of papers. Okay, maybe you can say critically analyzing certain papers, writing a you can say a review article. Okay, you can very well use that, but human intervention is again very much needed. Okay, so you can use them as a complement. Okay, but if you are 100% relying on them for generating the, say, even ChatGPT can write, it can compose poetry for you, right? So as a matter of fact, the attributes which were associated with, you can say, the human being, now they are basically challenged. Okay, that is creativity, innovation. Okay, but we need to take up this issue very seriously, because it is of great concern, in my opinion. I hope, ma'am, I have answered your query. Okay.
Sir, what is more important? Is it indexing, like SSCI indexing, or the impact factor?
No, see, that's why I said the indexing is more important, right? because your impact factor, as I was talking about, it can be manipulated. Okay, it can be manipulated. So don't believe on the impact factor. Even if the impact factor is 0.7 or 0.6, okay, that doesn't matter. But if it is SCI indexed or Scopus index, so indices are more important than the impact factor. Okay, because this is happening at a greater speed, I should say, wherein these parameters are being manipulated by various, you can say, publishing houses. Okay, so don't rely on the impact factor. You should rely on the index. Okay, if it is Web of Science or SCI, you can go for it without any age. Now you may say, how to identify whether it is, so you can go to their website, create your profile, okay, and simply search for the journal. Okay, and again, let's say if you are going for Scopus, you have various quartiles there, Q1, Q2, Q3, and so on. Okay, so again, that makes the difference. Okay, this quartile is again important, right? If it is Q3, then you should avoid it, right? Something like that. Okay. So indexes are more important than the impact factor and other parameters. I hope I have answered your query, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Anybody else who wants to ask something? Reenu Jalal, madam, you want to speak something?
No, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So we have got 2-3 minutes more. If there are any queries or otherwise, this is all from my end. Thank you very much for patient hearing.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
On behalf of UGC MMTTC AMU Aligarh and collaborating institute Kaliachak College, Malda, West Bengal, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to you for your insightful and engaging lecture on the very important topic, academic integrity and research publications ethics. Sir, your depth of knowledge and ability to present complex concepts in such an accessible and thought-provoking manner was truly commendable. The session was not only enlightening but also highly inspiring, providing valuable insights that will greatly benefit the participant in their academic and professional journeys. Sir, we deeply appreciate the time and effort you dedicated to sharing your expertise with us. Sir, your contribution has undoubtedly enriched our learning environment, and we hope to have the privilege of welcoming you again in the future. Once again, thank you very much, sir, for your valuable contribution. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mustafa sir, and all other participants.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.